In 2016, Hurricane Matthew hit South Carolina, reshaping its coastline. In the process of remapping, using satellite imagery called LIDAR, 2 shell rings were discovered on Pockoy Island, located in the Botany Bay Heritage Preserve. Archaeologists chose to focus on the ring closest to the beach first.
Due to sea level change and rising oceans, we're losing this site at a pretty fast rate.
We're losing 9.5 meters of this site every single year at best case scenario. If current rates hold and we do not get hit by another major hurricane, we will lose this site by the year 2024.
We're doing what most people would call salvage archaeology, trying to get as much as we can before it's gone.
Excavation began in 2017 and has continued for 4 seasons. In the summer of 2019, the site welcomed nearly 1,400 visitors and over 400 volunteers who could participate in tours or help sift for artifacts.
Individuals from all over South Carolina came to visit us and help us screen.
Participate in the cleaning of artifacts and cataloging of stuff.
We take volunteers and visitors of any age and experience level and teach them about archaeology and South Carolina history and heritage. So just the other day we had a toddler up at the screen on a stool sifting for artifacts, and we were teaching her how to ID things.
Visitors could also watch live demonstrations of shell tools. The archaeologists were also aided by Mississippi State University students who were asked to dig shovel test pits every 20 meters.
They're surveying the entire island for us, so we'll know where other locales are on this island that are producing either that period artifacts from the late archaic shell ring people or later, or maybe even before.
Colleagues from the National Park Service out of Tallahassee, Florida also assisted with metal probing of the rings, confirming the LIDAR imagery was true. Dating the rings as contemporary with the first Great Pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge. That's approximately 4,300 years ago. There are about 25 known shell rings in South Carolina and 60 on the East Coast. Typical shell rings or middens tend to be horizontal.
But during the late archaic period, for some puzzling reason, there are these donut-shaped rings.
The diameter of the rings on Pockoy Island measure about 60 to 70 meters across, with the centers being between 20 and 30 meters. Mounds of shell make up the outside, with the center of the rings almost void of shell.
We've referred to these shell-free interiors as plazas, which implies some sort of maintenance of the area. You keep it clean. But in fact, this was not an area that was kept clean. This is an area that shows that a lot of activity took place. We've got pits and posts and shell piles and things like that.
The archaeologists determined the first 6 to 8 inches of soil was overburdened from the ocean.
So what we've decided to do in order to make this project go quicker and get down below the plow zone where we can find features is to bring some heavy equipment and take that material off.
Another use has been to remove dirt piles out from under the screens.
We're very careful with how we excavate with those machines, and we're slowly training all of our staff to use them.
Some artifacts come out of the midden, while others wash up on the beach that have been washed out of the site. Items believed to be tools made from whelk shells are one example of this.
So what it looks like they're doing is using large whelks in a similar way to the way you would turn a rock into an axe. They're breaking it by striking it with probably another whelk, knocking a hole in it so that they can put a stick into it.
The archaeologists suspect they were sharpened by using small pebbles or possibly a juniper log with some wet sand, then used to chop down trees and hollow out dugout canoes. Some of the shells had 2 holes, suggesting they were used as both an adze and an axe. Another significant find has been the large amount of Thom's Creek pottery, which is the earliest known form of pottery in North America.
These punctations were applied with the marsh periwinkle.
Some students may even choose to do their master's and dissertation work on these objects. Jones also believes the pottery was used as hones or whets for sharpening bone tools used to stitch leather together. The archaeologist also found an exciting item made of deer bone and about the size of a pencil. It was decorated with concentric circles, nested diamonds, and cross-hatching.
You know, these are my examples currently of engraved bone pins.
The carvings tend to be located in the rear half of the pins, and the archaeologists have noted the special skill needed to achieve them, finding them difficult to replicate themselves.
And they appear to be ornate enough where they were some sort of a special item or maybe a status item of some sort, whether they were eating utensils, hairpins, garment closures, net making devices. We aren't really sure.
The pointy end is sharpened oftentimes and highly polished, and my speculation is that they're used in the making of basketry.
But figuring it out seems like half the fun.
Something like this came off the beach the other day.
Finally, a shell pendant was found, probably made from the interior spiral of a whelk, and some shell beads most likely made from the small shiny mussels that live in the marshes. A hole may have been drilled in the pendant and secured with a shell bead.
I've got a fancy version of my stone drill here. This is called a pump drill. We don't know that Native Americans used these, but we do know that they used small stone drills.
Columella in the area also has a lot of mother of pearl inside and a glitter-like exterior. Jones thinks the beads would be for more than just adornment, but also used as currency, like the Native Americans' wampum, with purple or shiny beads being worth more than white. The artifacts are first processed by sorting them into paper bags in the field before being sent to the lab. There, they are washed with toothbrushes, dried, labeled, and placed in archival quality plastic bags. Artifacts are also entered into a database, sorted, counted, weighed, and studied by different specialists.
We'll photograph a lot of, particularly the pottery and the bone pins. We'll have a faunal specialist. This is a person who studies animal bones.
The specialists return information on the diet the people were eating here. For example, shellfish, turtle, deer, and hickory nuts.
Not out here for the artifacts per se. We're out here to recover artifacts and then learn from those artifacts what are people doing with them, and therefore what were their lives like.
The archaeologists still have many unanswered questions. And perhaps their biggest question, how did they deal with sea level change?
Because, we're having those problems to solve today, and, so that we don't lose our way of life.
The information they collect may help answer these lingering questions and help solve these unwritten pieces of history.